Hello. Thank you so much for joining me today for my reaction to the UN Charter. That's right. What the I don't know what that was. Anyway, yeah, I thought that would make this more exciting. This is a very exciting video, guys. The UN Charter. You know, I like these founding documents. They're always interesting. Get an idea of what the whole deal at least was originally about, you know? We the peoples. By a small and up-and-coming YouTube channel, the United Nations. Check them out, link down below. I'm sure they care a lot about their YouTube stats, so definitely go check them out. The UN on YouTube. Anyway, I'm going to start out by listening to the preamble of the Charter. I thought that could be epic. And then I'm going to react to this video as well. Just why it matters more than ever. I thought that sounded interesting. Let's do it. This is epic.
We, the peoples of the United Nations, determined to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war.
You can immediately see the inspiration for, you know, the UN right there, the scourge of war.
Que dos veces durante nuestra vida ha infligido a la humanidad.
It's interesting to see, you know, they say twice in our lifetime. I feel like a lot of times these, you know, like constitutions or charters don't speak in that type of language where it's like, oh, you know, it really puts you into perspective. Twice in our lifetime, because it's not true for me. You know, I wasn't alive during World War I or World War II, but the people who were writing this were. So they say twice in our lifetime.
Sufrimientos indecibles.
وأن نؤكد من جديد إيماننا بالحقوق الأساسية للإنسان وبكرامة الفرد وقدره وبما للرجال والنساء والأمم كبيرها وصغيرها من حقوق متساوية.
创造适当环境，彼可维持正义，尊重由条约与国际法期刊。
I like how it's in different languages. That's a cool touch. You know, see all the representation of the people in the UN, all the different languages, or some of them.
创造适当环境，彼可维持正义，尊重由条约与国际法期刊渊源而起之义务，久而浮现。
à favoriser le progrès social et instaurer de meilleures conditions de vie dans une liberté plus grande.
Wow. And for the elephants. What was that guy doing? This video is epic, I'm not gonna lie.
В этих целях проявлять терпимость и жить вместе, в мире друг с другом, как добрые соседи.
Definitely easier said than done.
أن نضم قوانا كي نحتفظ بالسلم والأمن الدولي.
À accepter des principes et instituer des méthodes garantissant qu'il ne sera pas fait usage de la force des armes, sauf dans l'intérêt commun.
It's kind of, honestly, kind of sad to listen to this because it's just, I don't know, like in retrospect, it's like, okay, we haven't done a phenomenal job at this, you know. It was a very excellent goal, but, you know, it's hard to imagine a world where there's no war and no armed force outside of the common interest. But it's an excellent goal.
Sauf dans l'intérêt commun.
运用国际机构以促成全球人民经济及社会之进展。
решили объединить наши усилия для достижения этих целей.
Accordingly, our respective governments, through representatives, assembled in the city of San Francisco,
que han exhibido sus plenos poderes encontrados en buena y debida forma.
قد ارتضت ميثاق الأمم المتحدة هذا.
and do hereby establish an international organization to be known as the United Nations.
Long live the United Nations.
This is epic. I mean, it really is epic. This feels like if the story of Earth and mankind on Earth was a movie, this is a pretty epic moment, you know? Establishing an organization to be known as the United Nations.
The United Nations.
Long live the United Nations.
Yes. Hell yeah. You know what I liked about that too? It got me feeling patriotic, but not for a single country, you know, for the world, for mankind. Hell yeah. So that was just the preamble. I don't know how long the rest of the document is. Sorry. But I'm interested in reading the full thing, to be honest. We'll see about that in another video. For now, I'll just do the preamble and then let's see why it matters more than ever. This is actually a recent video. You know, if that preamble was written, you know, at the inception of the United Nations, it'll be interesting to see 80 years later, you know, how's it going?
In 1945, when the UN was created, humanity had gone through two catastrophic wars. The First World War, in which 30
The future had to look pretty bleak.
million people or so had died, and a Second World War, in which another 60 million people had perished.
Jesus.
So the demand by the states to have some sort of
I mean, that is a significant portion of all of mankind, you know. The human population on Earth did between the two wars.
security in the future to prevent the outbreak of a Third World War was so insistent that when President Roosevelt of the United States proposed creating this body called the UN, there was an immense attention given to the idea and great enthusiasm among the states that had won the Second World War to come together and actually put together this unusual organization that would stamp out the possibility of conflicts in the future. And that's what brought them together in San Francisco in 1945, and they drafted the UN Charter.
And
I didn't know it was in San Francisco. That's interesting, I guess.
it is now my duty, my honor and my privilege in the chair to call for a vote on the approval of the Charter of the United Nations.
The UN Charter was
It's interesting for an organization, you know, comprised of so many nations that so many of which are just at each other's throats, you know, to come together and find some common ground. Not an easy thing. I'm surprised it actually happened.
the sum and substance of humanity crying out for some sort of world order. They created a charter which reflected the aspirations of humanity for peace, for negotiating settlements, for handling food shortages and dealing with health issues and transportation and all the features that go into living a life on the planet. And that was the notion behind the UN. And frankly, the spirit was very enthusiastic at that time.
It's kind of a beautiful thing.
Of course, we
I mean, it's also, you know, if it turns south, you could see it being a dystopian type thing. But, you know, the charter, its purpose, beautiful thing.
now know today that the UN has survived for 80 years through many different crises. And ones that sometimes it helped settle and sometimes was not able to help settle. Nonetheless, the aspiration to have this organization around is so deep in the human spirit that I just think that had the UN dissolved yesterday, it would be reinvented today. It's just so necessary, and we still look up to it as the place to get peace in this world. The world of today is better off, frankly, than it was in 1945. I think it's so important to remember.
And, you know, I mean, I don't know how old he is, but looks like he was probably alive, so he can say that with some legitimacy, you know, good to hear.
What the UN is...
And also easy to forget, you know, the world seems pretty screwed up right now.
I think it's so important to remember what the UN is all about, why the UN Charter, which was established 80 years ago, is so significant for our lives. It has helped give the ground rules about how people should live their lives, how states should work with each other, how disputes can be settled. So it's almost a kind of guideline for how lives should be lived and how the earth should be governed.
It's interesting. He said twice, like, how people should live their lives and how lives should be lived. That's interesting. I don't know. I guess I won't read too deep into it. It's just like, it's a little bit weird to think of it like an international guide on how an individual should live his life.
The UN...
I definitely think of it more of how countries should cooperate with each other.
Represents symbolically the idea of collective security, the idea that we are all together in the plight of humankind, and that we cannot act separately. We have to be unified. Remember, the Charter, the UN Charter, is something we should all treasure for future generations.
Okay, now I want to read the entire thing. In 2020, this is the top, oh wait, no, is this the top comment? In 2023, the UN Climate Conference concluded with mixed results. Ambitious pledges were made, but many nations, particularly those in the global north, fell short of their commitments. Okay. Wow. That gave me some hope, guys. Hell yeah. Hope in 2025. Hard to come across. Give me a little optimism. Let's do it. That was cool. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow.